Hey, this is Byron Summerall. I'm joined by Dorian, Carlos, and Alberto, and we're just going to have a quick discussion about how to access a Mongo database using the if it just happens to be in Mongo Lab, then we're going to use Mongo Lab's website as a way to get in and modify records in the database. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. I've got Mongo Lab pulled up right now. So here is Mongo Lab, and I'm going to log in as the user that I'm working with right now.
That's the same user we're going to be using.
Not necessarily. If you this is the Tribe user, so if you're working in the Tribe project, then you would use this username. If you're working in a different project like cared for or in VO, then you would use a different username and password. It generally has a different username and password per project.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and log in. And right now I've got two of these databases. I'm actually going to create a new database just so that I don't disturb Renee, who's working in there right now. And you don't have to care about all of this stuff. I just want to go with the free one just so that we can create something really fast. So it is working right now. Wonder whether it's going to be really fast or if it's going to be really slow. We might just use this test right here because it doesn't have anything in it anyway. Okay, we'll just use test. So in Mongo, there's the idea of a collection. If you're used to SQL, collection is similar to a table. So a collection would contain certain types of similar data, like you might have a collection for pets, or for products, or for equipment, or just name your noun. It's basically a place where you would store things that are similar. This right here is something that is useful if you know how to use it. There might be a tool that you want to use that's outside of Mongo that's not this website, and you're free to use that. And some of the information that you would need to connect to the database is right here. For instance, this would be the host name right here. This would be the port number after the colon. This is the database name. And then if you're going to connect to it using this actual connection string, you would actually need to change this DB user with a user that I'll show you in a second, and then its password separated by a colon. So this connection string right here has several different things in it. Once again, host name, port, database name, username, password. So let's take a look at the users tab right here. This is just a way for us to, we're logged in as an administrator, so this is a way for us to administrate or administer the users that we have on this database. So right now there's one user on the database. So right here it would go dev right here, else like replace the whole bracket thing. So that would be replaced by dev. And then the password, I know for this one just happens to be password, so you would put password right here. Again, without the brackets, the greater than, less than. I don't know if you would need to create a new username, but you can if it's useful. And this would just be this is a user that's able to access this database, and you can give it a password, and you can make that user read only, which means they can't actually make changes to the database, which is useful in some cases. So there's that user right there. Now it doesn't show us the user's password anymore. That's a secret. And I think it's not possible to reset the password, so you basically just have to delete the user and and recreate it if for some reason you need to reset the password. But that's mostly for the developers' use. So because they're going to give the software this whole connection string replacing the username and password to be able to connect to the database. For the most part, you guys aren't going to have to do that. All you do is use the administrator login to log into this piece. There are some cases where the administrator password might be protected, secret, so then we might create a user here for QA so that you can run queries and things like that. Okay, so back to the collections. We're going to create a collection. We're going to call it widgets. Here's my widgets collection. If I click on that, then I should be able to see different documents. One document is one record, is one row. So if you're thinking about a spreadsheet, each row is a group of cells, and each row represents a row in the spreadsheet. The same thing would be true for a SQL database. Each row or each record is separate in a SQL database, and then the analogy or the thing that's parallel between them is that a document is similar to that, where it's one widget. So this is a collection called widgets, and each document is a widget. So we're going to create a widget right now. Add document. Now this right here is just JavaScript. So it has to be, it is code, so it's just data represented by code. So it has to be valid in order to go into the database. So we're going to create a widget that has a name of Bluebell and a size of 3. Okay, so this page doesn't really know much about widgets. I just created it freeform. But that's the great thing about Mongo, is that we can do things freeform, that we don't have to have a stringent structure. So I'll create this and go back. So there I've got, now it added this right here, this ID, it added that. But there's my Bluebell document or record or row. And I can show up to 100 or just 20 or down to 10. I can view it as a table, but I have to define the structure for the table if I want to be able to do that. So that's a little bit more complicated. If that's really important to you, then you can go through those instructions and do that. Otherwise, this is the typical format for a document. So I'm going to create one more. And this one's going to be the whirly jig for the size of 2. So there it is. So you can imagine if I've got like 20 different records, which a lot of databases, if this is the users table, then this would be, you'd have plenty of these. All right, so one of the things that as QA you need to be able to do sometimes is you need to be able to erase a user from the database. And so in order to do that, you can see here you can either edit a document or you can delete it. Depending on the project, sometimes it's safe to delete a record. So for each project, you would need to do some sort of communication with the devs to find out which collection is okay to go into, and maybe just have them walk you through one time, showing you the records and picking which one is safe to delete. And when you're ready to delete it, you just click that and then click delete, and it's permanently gone. Go ahead.
I have a question. On these collections, are we also gonna see users that are, in the case of Trivy, for example, we have a user associated to a Facebook account. We're gonna see these collections as well, and when we delete that, that's like associating the user again to the Facebook app.
So that's one of the things that depends on the app. In the case of Tribe, I haven't seen the structure yet because we're having trouble with the database right now.
Okay.
But let's just assume that Tribe has this users collection. So I'm guessing that you'd be able to go into the users collection, and just for example, I'll give a couple of I'll add another one in here.
We lost Byron.
Se me fue el internet.
That control Q is just a little bit too close to the control W. Okay, give me a second. I got to get logged back in. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, so go back into the test database, back into users, add a document, paste, that's not the right one. Name, whoops, name, builder. I don't know if you noticed this, but when I put I put that in a not an incorrect format, but I did it in a different type of format, and it actually formatted the object for me, so I don't have to be so picky about the formatting as I'm entering things. So we were talking about hypothetical if we're going to go in and delete a user for Tribe. So here I'd go into users, and I would just pick the user that I want to get rid of, and I would just delete it. That is probably as easy as it is. It's probably not any more difficult than that. But like I said, it depends on the application, because the devs will know whether or not certain things are safe to delete, or whether certain things are dependent on other things. So hopefully it is as easy as that. But either way, the devs can tell you for that project.
Okay.
So the point of this this session is really just to show you more or less how it would happen in Mongo Lab. And then for Tribe, I know that's an immediate need. For Tribe, then we'll just have to tell you which collection is okay to delete. Not the whole collection, but which collection to look for the users to delete.
Perfect.
And once we get the database up, then we'll be able to tell you. Because what somebody did is they clicked this button right here. They deleted the database. So that is enough to take down the whole system.
Okay.
All right. Any questions?
Well, why would you have different collections? Because of the different sets of data that you would be storing, like for example, users,
chats,
forums, products,
pictures.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. But but if we delete a user, and is there a way that another collection could be associated to that user, like for example, a picture or something like that?
Yeah, that's why it's a per per project question. Hopefully, the developers have done something that's supposed to happen, where you create a user, but then you create their login session, and they're two separate things in the database. Sometimes, if the developer is not quite on his game that day, he might actually use the user to log in, like actually storing the username or the password on the user, which is a bad design, but sometimes it happens. The right way is to have a user session object in the database, like a user session collection, and then a user in the database, or a user collection, so that when you want to clear that user out, or the login out, then you can just delete their login session, not their user. That way it fixes the problem that you just mentioned.
Okay.
So we'll find out hopefully soon for Tribe about that. Anything else?
No, nothing else. I think that when the database is fixed, you'll provide us the user and password as well to use for Tribe.
Right.
Okay. We'll make sure to add that to our board then.
Okay.
Okay.
Good deal. All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Byron. Bye.
Thank you for sharing.
Right.
We had a little time for showing something that